Hey, what's up guys? It's Higgins in Japan, here with another edition of the Friday video, where I make a video on the drive home. And today we're trying out something a little bit new, and let's hope that it works. Hey, what's up guys? It's the Friday video, and if you're new to the channel, Friday video consists of me driving, you watching me drive, and hopefully you watching me not run any red lights. So today we've got a new camera set up, so hopefully you should be seeing me driving and seeing my face in a tiny little box. Hopefully all that worked out. If not, this explanation will make no sense if, all of that didn't happen, which it should. Let's just, let's be hopeful here about my editing skills. So what is the Friday video? Well, the Friday video, like I said, is where I drive and ramble for an extended period of time. And the point is to not be just rambling about nonsensical things. It's to answer your questions about Japan and your questions about life in Japan, and questions about why this red light has not changed yet, because I've been sitting here for longer than I feel like I should have to be. But anywho, so we're going to answer some questions about Japan and questions about life in Japan. And if you have questions, and if you would like me to answer your questions, you might be asking yourself, well, how do I do that? I don't know. Well, how you do that is you go to facebook.com/HigginsInJapan. There you can send me messages, you can comment on other videos that I've made or other posts, and you can also send me messages if you have a question that maybe you don't want, everybody knowing your name or whatever the case may be. So as I continue to sit here at this traffic light that refuses to change, I'm going to pull up just a little bit. Maybe I'm not on the sensor, but anyways, so first question that I wanted to talk about comes from Nicholas, and Nicholas asked a lot of good questions, and the question that he asked was, what's it like to experience earthquakes in Japan? And if you're not familiar with the fact that Japan has lots of earthquakes, you might want to do a quick Google search of that. Japan does have quite a few earthquakes, and where I live, Ibaraki Prefecture, tends to have a lot of earthquakes. Now, where I currently live, I live on the other side of a mountain range, and so it blocks a lot of the feeling that you get from the earthquake. So I honestly don't, like this past year, I've not actually felt too many earthquakes. Now, previously, the town that I lived in, I lived kind of near the water, kind of on a fault line, and so yeah, like I experience earthquakes a lot, and you kind of get used to it, which can be a good thing and which can be a bad thing too. Currently, the bad thing is this light has not changed, so I'm gonna back up and we're gonna try this again. So now you get to see what it looks like to drive backwards in Japan, and now we're gonna roll forward and see if there it goes. Okay. Anywho, so what it's like. The first time that I experienced an earthquake was when I came to Japan back in 2000. I was fresh out of high school, had no real idea of what I wanted to do with my life, so I decided to come to Japan for a couple of weeks and do some sightseeing, do a little bit of like conversational English stuff, nothing like too intensive or anything, and completely fell in love with the country. And now flash forward, here I am today living in Japan. So this was our last night in Japan. Well, so there was an earthquake the first night we were in Japan, but I slept through it and didn't even notice that it was a thing. The one that I did notice was it was our last night. One of our last nights in Japan, we were at a restaurant having like our kind of like big farewell dinner type thing, and we stood up to go to leave, and I noticed that the the lights in the restaurant were swaying back and forth. And honestly, at first, I didn't really know. I'd never been in an earthquake before. Like, I grew up in Texas and lived in Detroit and lived in Pennsylvania. Those are not those are not states that have earthquakes normally. So there wasn't a whole lot for me to go, oh, this is an earthquake, because I felt this before. And so, yeah, so the first time, it was kind of exciting. Like, I don't remember being scared, but I definitely remember the lights swaying back and forth, and we were out to dinner, and we were at a restaurant that was kind of up a few stories, and I remember standing there and just, you could feel the building rock back and forth and back and forth. And some of the people we were with were kind of freaked out about it, but I don't remember being too freaked out about it. Now, if we jump ahead to 2012, when I actually moved to Japan, it was my first week in Japan, and my second week in Japan. I was in my apartment for the first time, and I was sleeping on the floor because I only had like a futon. I didn't really have a bed or anything like that, like a Western style bed like I have now. I had, just a futon, and I'm laying there, and I wake up in the middle of the night, just like jump up, like straight out of bed, because there was an earthquake. It freaked me out the first time. And then, it took me a while to realize, oh, it stopped, the earthquake has stopped shaking. And so then the very next night, same thing happened again. And the night after that, it happened again. And the night after that, it happened again. 4 nights in a row we had earthquakes my first week here. And I was like, okay, what did I get myself into? Like, what in the world is this town? Like, what did I do to get put in this town, type of thing. But similar to when I lived in the States, I had an apartment in the city that was right across the street from a hospital. And I remember one day, it was like a Sunday afternoon or something, my parents came over to like visit, and they were like, wow, there's a lot of ambulances going out today. And I was like, what? Like, I just didn't even, like, I'd gotten so used to hearing ambulances that I just completely kind of blocked it. You don't recognize or don't, really acknowledge it. And the same has happened with earthquakes, to the point where, like I said earlier, now I live in a place where there's not a lot of earthquakes. So when they do happen, they're usually stronger, or they feel stronger, and so the tendency is to go, oh, like this could be a big one. But yeah, definitely the past few years, I've just kind of gotten used to it. Sometimes I've still woken up, you wake up and you go, oh, okay, that's an earthquake. Now, if you don't know, all cell phones in Japan, because of the earthquake, the big 3/11 earthquake, all cell phones in Japan have to have a cell phone, or have an earthquake alarm on them. And so if the earthquake is over a certain magnitude, and I believe it's 6.0, the alarm on your phone will go off, letting you know that there's an emergency, that there is there's an earthquake, and that you should probably think about taking cover, because it could be a big one. They also use the same alarm for landslides, which is a problem for people that live near big mountains and stuff. And so there was one time here in Japan, it's actually gone off twice, I believe. The one time, though, I was at a train station with a friend, and we were waiting for somebody else. We were all going out to dinner, and we're standing there, and like at train stations, sometimes you can feel the station shaking because of the trains coming in and out. Like, that's just, whatever. And so we're standing there, and I go, that feels like I'm thinking to myself, this feels like an earthquake. And my friend says to me, is that an earthquake? And as he's saying that, the alarm on my phone goes off, meaning that this is a big one. This is like over 6.0. And so we're standing in the station, and I'm like, I don't want to be standing in the train station. Like, I don't know if, like, like, I don't want to be inside a building when an earthquake happens. And so we were right next to the exit, so we went downstairs and went outside, and just people were flooding the streets, and street signs were shaking, and you could just hear everything shaking, and it lasted a lot longer than a normal one. I believe it was a 7.3, and so we were like, oh wow, that's crazy. Well, then because of the magnitude of it, they shut down the train systems, and so our friend was stranded on the train, and we were kind of stuck at the station. Like, we couldn't go anywhere unless we wanted to go somewhere around the station, and the station just filled up with people, because normally a lot of people come to the station, but they leave kind of right away because they're getting on a train. They don't have to wait. There were no trains. Like, everything was shut down, and so it like delayed all the trains almost an hour, I believe, so they could make sure that there wasn't any damage done to the tracks. But yeah, that's really the only time. Like I said, you kind of get used to them, and also kind of get in the mindset of, like, you don't know when an earthquake's gonna happen, so you can't really predict it. So for me, I kind of just am like, well, it's something that I can't control, so I'm not afraid of earthquakes, impending earthquakes. Now, during an earthquake, don't get me wrong, I'm the first one that's like, all right, should we take cover? And kind of look around the room. Is anybody else freaking out? Okay, nobody else is freaking out. Okay, we're good. Like, so yeah, that's my earthquake stories. I got another question on YouTube, and I'm sorry I didn't write down the name. But the question was about having a beard in Japan. And I don't know if you can tell from my video and all of my videos, but I have a beard. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't trim it today, so I'm looking a little shaggy, and I usually trim it every day, or every other day, but I didn't today just because I just didn't. But the question was, what are people's opinions on beards in Japan? And I can honestly say, in my case, I have not had any complaints. I've only gotten compliments from people about my beard. They think it's cool. Japanese men usually don't have beards, unless it's like an older dude. And also, a lot of companies in Japan don't allow people to have facial hair, so you'll not see too many salarymen with facial hair, and so my guess, now I could be totally wrong on this, and I've been wrong before, it's not very often, but my guess is that a lot of people see beards as like, oh, it's a foreign thing, like foreigners have beards, foreigners can grow beards, and so like, we'll let you go on this one because it's a foreign thing. I don't know, that could be totally wrong, and I could just be making that up. But like I said, I've only gotten compliments about it. Like, my students, I have lost track of how many times, but every day students come up to me, touch my beard, pull on it, not like violently, but they don't see a lot of people with beards, so they think it's cool. Yeah, the only issues that I've heard from people is if you let it go and get too long, or you don't trim it, or like I said, today I'm looking a little shaggy, but normally I keep it pretty even and pretty trimmed down. But yeah, and I've not come across anybody that said, oh, well, we're not going to hire you because you have a beard. Now, I have seen postings online for places that'll say no facial hair, but those are probably places that you don't want to work anyways if they're not going to let you have facial hair. But so yeah, so there we go, earthquakes and facial hair, answering your questions on the Friday video. One last thing before I go, there is a new post on the City Cost website, and if you don't know what City Cost is, it's a website that has a blog, and it has a ton of information for people that are interested in moving to Japan. So if you are one of those people, definitely check out the site. Now, I don't get paid to, this isn't some kind of paid sponsorship. This is something that I just do. It's fun that I, can write articles for. I've got half a dozen up there right now, I believe 6 or 7, and which would be half a dozen. But anyways, so yeah, links to all that kind of stuff in the description below. Check out the stuff that I write. If it's interesting to you, let me know. Leave me comments. Send me messages. That's cool. That's why I love making these videos, because it opens the door to opportunities that I didn't think were possible. Like, I didn't think people want to... Like, when I lived in the States, nobody wanted to listen to me talk about Japan. But now that I live in Japan, people in the States want to hear me talk about Japan. So that's the way it goes. But anyways, guys, if you have any questions for me, feel free to ask me anytime. Facebook.com/Higgins in Japan. Check that out. Like that. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed. I mean, why not? Get up on that. I don't know what that means. I'm not going to edit that out. Anyways, guys, have a good one. I'm going to finish driving home. It's cool today, but I'm not wearing my heavy coat because it was a little bit warmer. But, so yeah, there you go. News and weather on the 7s. Check out all the links in the description, guys. Have a good one. Peace.